Hello, everybody. I want to talk about an alternative to arrays in C++. This is actually a better setup than arrays. It looks like an array and it almost acts like an array. The difference is that when we declare an array, we have to tell how big it is. And this could be a problem because we might not know. So we make the array very big and waste space by doing that. So instead, we have a new data type called a vector. I don't know exactly why they use the name vector. The equivalent in mathematics doesn't really seem to me to cover what's here. Although, well, I don't think it does. Now, a vector is a container, just like an array. So, to get a vector of int, we would declare vector, and then in these brackets, whatever it's going to be, and then the name of the variable. Now you notice that's something like the way arrays are, but not quite. Arrays, we don't need a word, array. Here we do. A vector can have any kind of type inside it. And in the beginning, a vector is empty. We cannot, we say the size of the vector is 0. In fact, size is one of the attributes of a vector. So we can use let's do it this way. Example, vector things of int. Vector of int things. Then we have things dot size whatever, wherever we can use. Sorry about that. We can use things dot size parentheses wherever we can use an integer. Now that's called a method of the item vector. I have up at the top here a reference on the internet of all the things you can do with a vector. You won't understand all of them, but I do want you to look at some of them. For example, the one I just did is called size. And if I click on size, it tells you what it does, and it shows you a way of using it. Now, they put STD in front of everything, STD : You don't have to do that if you put using namespace standard where we usually put it. And notice we have another include we need. We need the include vector in the braces. So let me go back and put that down. We use # include vector. I can't spell vector for some reason. Vector. Whenever we want the vector. Now there's a funny little thing you have to worry about. Normally you think we could read it in. When we begin, as I said, when we begin, the vector is empty. We cannot say things 1 or things 0 equals 5.2. We cannot, we cannot say CN things 0. We can't use things N until we have put enough values into things. So if we want n, since we start counting at 0 as always, we'd have to put n plus 1 items in. Well, if we can't use an assignment statement and we can't read, how do we get anything into there? Well, that's interesting. We use the method pushback and then a value, which could be a variable as or however. So we can write things dot push back 10. That may look funny, but it works. So, for example, if we wrote things dot push back 3.1, things dot push back 6.9, things dot push back 12. Let's make it 4. Then things 0 is 3.1. Things 1 is 6.9, and things 2 is 4. As you can see, I hope, things go in from the 0 side up. So the 0th place is the first place we fill in, then the first place, then the second place, then the third place, and so on and so on and so on. You can't use the variable there until you put something in that place. Right now, I can use things 1 or things 2 or things 0 anytime I want, but I couldn't before. Now, we remove items by using popback. I hope I got that right. I think that's the one. So, continuing the example, if we wrote things pop back, just that, and then things dot pushback 31, the vector is now things 0 has not changed. It's still 3.1. Things 1 has not changed. It's still 6.9. But when we do pop back, we throw away the first element. The element farthest to the right, if you think of it that way. So 4 disappeared. Now, we did put something back in, and we put it where 4 used to be, because we had wiped it out. Now you may ask, how do I get the 4? Well, you can access them this way, using the same kind of notation you use for arrays. Let's see if the pop back and push back, I'll show you over here. Here's pushback, shows you how it's done. And here is pop back, which removes the last element. Those are the ones you need the most, to be honest with you. If you want to print all the ones in there, you can use a for loop. This particular reference talks about iterators. I don't think we're going to need iterators right away. So I think we can ignore the material about iterators at this point. I want to write a little problem for you. Now, this is a classic computer science problem. Computers have trouble evaluating items, expressions such as 6 times 3 plus 2 minus 4 times 7 divided by 3, and we'll leave it there. The parentheses get in the way. compilers can change expressions to form a form called postfix or reverse Polish. Now there is a Polish, it's prefix, but for what I want to do here, it's easier to do postfix. This form has no parents and puts the operators after the operands. So let me see if I can show you how this works. Now what we have there, I'm going to put the 6 in, and then I'm going to say, okay, now the 3, now the 2. All right, I'll add those two together. Now I'll put the 4 in. Now I'll put the 7. I'll multiply those two together. Now the 4 times 7 is supposed to be divided by 3, so I do my division. That'll give me a number. That number is to be subtracted from the 3 plus 2, so I'll put that there. And then whatever that is to be multiplied times the times. Now often I add something at the end. So how does this work? Well, if you look at this statement, we save the 6, save the 3, save the 2 in a vector. Now, when we see the plus, we remove the last two elements in the vector, and in this case that would be 3 and 2. Add them and put 5 into the vector. The vector is now 6 and 5. You'll notice we did not take out the 6, but we did take out the other 2. All right, now we see a 4. So now put 4 into the vector and put 7 into the vector. The vector is now 6, 5, 4, and 7. And you know that had to happen. Oh well. Okay, so we see the multiply. Take our 4 and 7 out of vector. Multiply and put 4 7s are 28, 28 into the vector. Vector now, I cannot spell vector, is now 6, 5, and 28. Now, notice what this meant. We did the 4 times 7 before we did all the multiplications and all the additions here. So the 4 times 7 was done after the 3 plus 2. Now, we see the division. Take 5 and 28 out. And divide to get, let's see, 5/28. What in the world is 5/28? See if I can get there. Equal 5/28. 0.178. That'll be good enough. So we'll just take 0.178. 0.178 and put it in the vector. Vector is now, okay, we kept the 6, the 5 we did not have. I think, if I remember correctly, we took out the 5 and the 28. So now we have the 0.178. I just hope I haven't made any mistakes. No, I don't think so. All right, next, we see the minus and remove last 2 values. Get 6 minus 0.178, which equals 5.922. No, 822. 2A, yeah, I think so. And put it in the vector. Now, normally what happens at this point is we need some way to recognize that we're finished. And the usual way to recognize that is to simply put something there, like a pound sign. So it works. I'm not asking you to create it. It's a more difficult program to create it. What I'm suggesting is we evaluate it. Now, here's the specifications for the program. The input the user will first give values for variables A, B, C, however. So I should say he will first give how many variables he wants, how many variables, and then give values for these variables, which will be called A, B, C, whatever. I'm just doing that because it's easier it would be a little more trouble to have 2 or 3 or 4 letter variables. I just thought it would work better this way. Then the user will input a postfix expression with using plus, minus, times, divide, pound sign, and 1 letter variables. No spaces. Pound sign ends the expression. So that's how I want to do it. Now, the reason I put no spaces in is because it works easier if I don't have to use getLine. I just have to use cin that way. So let's go and look at the program. I wrote it already. So if you'll notice, I've got the usual IOStream, IOmanip. There's a vector, and I have string. Now I'm going to, I have using namespace standard, which will make life easier. I am using a name for the vector that you'll learn in about, I don't know, maybe just near the end of the semester. And we will definitely talk about a lot in CSC 225. I'm using the name stack. If you think of a vector, it really is something like the push-down devices you have in the cafeteria, where new plates go on top of them, and people take the plates off from them. It's just like a vector. The bottom of the zero plate, first plate, second plate, etc. So we borrow the name stack. It just makes a better name for this. So I'm going to define, I went too fast, pardon me. I've called it stack. And I can't spell, that should have been holds. I declared the string that's going to come in as input. And I need 3 operands. I need the 2 that are going to be added, divided, multiplied, whatever, plus the result. Now I gave the user a chance to have up to 26 variables. Come to think of it, I should have made that a vector, but I didn't. So I ask you how many, and then I read them. Now this is cute. Well, I guess you wouldn't want me to use that word. The first variable is supposed to go into the 0th place, but it represents the value of A. Well, how do I get it to, how do I sort of do that? What I say is, take A and add to it the place I'm putting it in. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Well, whatever the value for A is in the ASCII, if I add 0 to it, that's the value for A. If I add 1 to it, that's the value for B. If I add 2 to it, that's the value for 3. So that gives me a number. And I convert the number back to ASCII. So this will print out A, B, C, whatever. I'll put the values in the right places. And this is not a vector, so I can do it that way. Next, I take in the value. Now, the the element is what I have to know what the element is. Well, the first case, remember their character now. The first case would be, did I get a variable? Is it between A and Z? If it is, push back into values the value of the variable. Well, how do I do that? Well, if you will remember, S0 is a variable like B or C, and B minus A would be 1, and values 1 is where I have the value for B. So again, I do the arithmetic here, and it probably comes out as a character, but I don't take any chances. I make it an int so that it picks the value for me. Now, erase. This goes with the string. You have been using some strings. Remember that the erase gets rid of one character beginning at the 0th position. And then I print it out for you so you can see it. And then, if it's plus, I do arithmetic, whatever. After I get the operand 3, I push it back, but not until I pop the 2 elements. Sometimes I wish that they had given us the ability to have pop back return what it pops out, but it didn't. And then I print out the stack again. I keep going until I get the pound sign, and then the answer is in the stack at 0. And the print is very easy. It just goes through one by one and prints all the elements up to the size less than the size. By the way, look at the 2 top elements before I forget. Stack.size is how many elements are there. -1 is the top one. -2 is the one I put in before that. So operand was the first one I put in. Operand 2 was the second one. So let's go. Let's do it and see what happens. So I'm going to put in 4 values. I'll put in 2.8, 3.9, 12, and 5.1. Now my input, I'm going to take A and B and add them together. Take C and D and add them together. Now I have 2 elements in there. I'm going to take E and divide CD by E. And then I'm going to take those and add them together. And that's it. Now I got to make sure that I've got enough there. 1, 2, 3. All right. So let's see. I'll put the pound sign in, and we'll see what it says. There is definitely something wrong. I thought I had it right, but I guess I didn't do it the way I should have. There's A. There's B. There's the sum of A and B. There's the sum of A and B and 12. There's the sum of A and B, 12, and C. There's the sum of A and B, and the add, I put E in. Oh, no wonder. Pardon me. We'll do that once more. Sorry about that. So I'm going to have 4 variables again. 2.8, for 9.17 and 5. The input will be take A, B, and add them together. Take C, D, and add them together. Bring in B again and divide CD by B. Now I have two elements in there. Add them together, and that should be it. So let's see. It looks like it worked this time. A is 2.4. B is 9.1. The plus sign says add them. The stack now has 11.5 in it. C is 11.5. Pardon me, C is 7. D is 5. The plus says add them. I now have the 12. Now I get B. So B goes into the stack. Then it says up here, I'm supposed to divide. So I'm supposed to divide the 12 by the 9. 1.32 seems to be right. Then I'm supposed to add those two. It looks like it's right. And there's the value, the one element left in the stack. So that's an example of how to do this. What I will do is I will copy the result over to our file. And so I'll go down here a little. Result. I'll copy that in. Then I'll go over and copy the program. So go up here, copy the program. And that's Control C, and right here. The program, and Control V. Okay, so that's it. That's all I really want to do right now. Now I just wish I could figure out where I'm supposed to close this off, because the machine isn't showing me how I can get out of this, but I'm pretty sure I know. Well, I will find a way out, one way or the other. There it is. And now I can quit. See you later.